Well, Happy New Year, sir.
What's happening? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year,
What's
everybody.
going on?
As Richard says.
New Year's. Happy
How
New
goes it?
Year's.
So, how was your Christmas?
It was good and quiet. How was yours?
Same thing. It was quiet.
Hey, Stephanie.
We're in. You've ever heard
Jeremy.
of Mumbo Number Five? Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mumbo Number Five. Well, I shared a meme earlier this week that said, "Ladies and gentlemen, this is lockdown number five," because we are in yet another kind of
Happy New Year, Meg.
another lockdown. It sucks, but it is what it is.
Yeah, we're not in that position here in the States. Gotta say we're
No,
not. Hey, Tara,
not
how's
here.
it going?
Hi guys, happy New Year, everybody! Thank you for joining
Yeah,
us. It's a new
yeah.
year. I can't believe I'm writing 2022 already, but you know what? It is what it is, right? It's another year gone by. How cool is that?
Hey, Joanne. Yeah, I want to thank Jeremy for coming on. On the show tonight. We appreciate the support as a show. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Jeremy is with the Things Network. So we are thankful to be a part of that broadcast. Yeah, guys, new year. Michael, what's going on? Robin, what's going on? Katie was without her mirror
Sorry, my
again.
one. Apparently.
Donna, how's it going?
Thanks for
Yeah,
joining us.
yeah,
I hope everybody had a happy and healthy New Year's
yeah,
and
absolutely.
Christmas. Um, it's I hear you guys are getting snow down in the south.
Well, we did, and today was rain. So, I mean, that's the South, right? Hey, Penny. It's one of those kind of things where, especially in Tennessee, the weather is the way it is. And the running joke is if you want to see the weather change in Tennessee, wait a minute.
Right?
Wait a minute. Hey, Courtney, how's it going?
That's Canada. That is Canada. We can literally have 17 degrees one day and snow the next day. I mean, it was minus, so it went down to over minus 30, I should say under minus, like that cold degrees Celsius, and now it was up to -2 today, but there was a wind chill factor.
Thank you.
So I
Appreciate
mean,
it,
it
Penny.
changes constantly.
Yeah, yeah. It's just one of those things that it happens. I mean, and it's funny because down here in the South, it was the running thing is still kind of holds true. Is that they threaten snow, everybody runs out to the store to buy bread and milk, and then
Right?
the snow comes, and then the next day it's gone. So we all ran out for bread and milk for no reason at all.
Absolutely. Right? Just got to be patient. Wait a minute. Maybe have some salad. Don't give up the bread.
Salad.
People usually, if you had to choose bread or salad, what would you choose first?
I'd go with the salad. You're right there. I'd have to go with the salad. There's no way in the world I'm going with just the bread. Hey, Brenda,
Right?
Happy New Year. Good to see you. Guys, again, we're very thankful to have you all out. We did have a 2-week hiatus where we got a chance to enjoy family and friends for Christmas and the New Year's. We really hope you had a great one as well. Um,
Absolutely.
it's one of those kind of things where we turned to the boss and said, "Boss, we're taking in 2 weekends off," and I said, "Oh, I'm sorry," and then we said, and then we said, "Yeah, sure, let's just take it off. We need to have the two
True.
weeks off for family." So we really do thank you all for following us and supporting us. It's really important that you do so because again, we only do this for you. We do not do this for ourselves. If I wanted to hear myself talk, I just look in the mirror,
Right?
you know. Hey Tim, how's it going, brother?
I've got you
Angela,
all
good
set up.
to good
Okay.
to see you.
Sorry. I've got all my screens set up here. I apologize, guys. I look like I'm
Get
looking
all
down, but
over it.
really, I'm just trying to set everybody up so I can see everybody's comments. They're lovely comments. So we don't miss any. So, what are we
Good
talking
of
about
you.
this week, sir?
Based on the conversation we had pre-show in the green room, we're talking about energy.
Energy,
Hey
baby.
Jerry,
Energy.
energy, man, energy. It's one of those kind of things. There's always an energy around the
Mhm.
holidays, that kind of stuff, and it's a big part of what we do and why we do it is energy. And we just kind of wanted to get a chance to talk about just the basics about energy. We don't want to get too, you know, into the granular of it, so to speak. But we want to talk about, what about energy? What makes things happen for us in regards to energy? So that has a lot to do with it. Things that happen to your day. We were just talking about, again, like I said, in the green room, things in life, the energy just not being good or the energy being good. It's just how it runs your day. So you can either run it to the ground or it can run it in the sky. But energy has a lot to do with it. I know with investigations, and we talked about this a time or two, is that the investigations, the energy isn't right. If something doesn't feel right, that'll screw up an entire investigation. Hey, Ellen.
Absolutely. I think that energy is a word that's used a lot these days. I think energy is something that we are more consciously aware of. But I don't think people truly understand necessarily, and myself included. I have not delved that significantly into it, but I know for myself and how I do energy work, that it hits us every day. We are in and out of it. We utilize it. We use it. We absorb it. We repel it. We every single day of our lives. And I think this is a great topic because people are going to start to make sense of how they feel. Or why they feel a certain way because of the energy.
Right.
So, it's as easy as, walking into a room and having an emotion or, feeling uncomfortable. That is a shift in energy.
Hey,
when you're walking in a store, when you're listening to a type of a song, that changes and, changes the vibration of your energy field. So, it's pretty cool because I think if people were more consciously aware of this energy type field, I think they may be able to not absorb as quickly. They may not be able to take on other people's energy or emotions as easily.
Well, no, you're right. I'm trying to keep up with everyone coming in. Anita, Tammy, how's it going? Nikki again, Michael, Stephanie, the folks in Paranormal United, Parallax. That's great. Thank you.
Anita.
Brandy,
Amber,
good to
Donna,
see you.
Tiffany, Tim, Chrissy, Holy, Brandy, Tara. Thank you all so much for joining us, guys. Happy New Year.
Good to see you, Charles. Good to see you guys. This is great to have you all out. We appreciate it. There are certain things like I think too, for those that are online that are watching the show, I think as well, the energy has a big effect on those that are empathic. Mm-hmm. A tremendous, Colette, how you doing? A real solid effect on people. I've had people that are empathic that can't do like the conventions and they can't do, big groups because it just wears them out. Mm-hmm. And I'm that way too, to a point. I stopped doing conventions because the energies wore me out. I mean, you can get a person coming there as an energy vampire, and then I use that term loosely, but it's the truth. Those are people that just want to suck the actual energy out of you. That's just kind of how they live. That's how they thrive. Right. And it's sad that people have to go through that. Stuart, how you doing? Brian, good to see you. So, it's just kind of one of those things where you have to learn how to guard yourself, block yourself. I'm a big proponent of energy breeds energy. Mm-hmm. So if you're in a bad way, if you're noticing you're in a bad mood, the person you're talking to goes into a bad mood. That's just an energy transfer between the two people. But when it comes down to the paranormal side of things, see now, Anita Allen said, let me put it up on screen, if you are trained empathic, then you just shield and you're fine. I do conventions all the time, pre-COVID, right? Pre-COVID. But you've got a lot of people, and I've talked to a lot, and I appreciate your point, but I've talked to a lot of people that don't have a clue what they are. Mm-hmm. And those people are the ones that are trained is one thing. You train yourself, you get trained in the process. That's great. But we've got a lot of people walking around that have no clue they're empathic. And they wonder why they're feeling beat up, and they're wondering why they're feeling down, and they want to know why they feel scared for no reason, have to get out of a room for no reason. And those are the people that we need to direct this to as well, because they are just, they are the victims, so to speak. Deacon Tommy Golden, how are you, brother? Good to see you. Happy New Year.
That's a great point. In terms of being trained to to utilize your energy to put up an energy field so that you're not absorbing, unwanted energy. But that in itself, until you're trained, that kind of takes your energy as well. Myself, as a psychic medium, doing readings for people, it's not like a normal 9 to 5 job. I am exhausted by the end of the day. There's some days where I have to take a break and take a nap because even though I am sourcing energy to do the reading, I'm also putting up a shield and kind of, we'll call it a bridge where I'm only allowing certain things to come through to protect myself as well as the client. And that takes a lot of energy in itself. So it's a good thing to block energy, but I think like anything else, it's something that takes practice. It's something that you have to build up to. And it's something that you shouldn't be with, how do I put this? You shouldn't be in it, concentrated in it all the time.
Right.
Okay. Because too much of even a good thing is not good. So, it's the same with paranormal investigators. I try and within my own experience, try to steer them, people who are starting out, I'll explain to them that it's important that, you remove yourself from investigations. Take a break. I took a couple weeks off for Christmas because I did it for my own health. Not only was it an excuse to have a wonderful holiday, but I needed that break. I needed to be able to disconnect, remove myself from that energy field and kind of heal my wounds per se, or to kind of regain my source energy so that I can be even better when I go back to work. But it's unless people are aware of it, I don't think they're even cognizant of doing that.
No.
But we also, in certain respects, do this subconsciously. You've heard they put a wall up. Well, that person's got a wall up. That person's got a wall up. Oh, where do you think that comes from? That wall could be a defensive mechanism. It could be shutting down so that they disassociate with the situation. It could be that they remove themselves physically from the situation. Energy doesn't always have to be a negative thing, but if you're feeling overwhelmed or have anxiety or you're feeling depressed, you have to ask yourself if that is even your energy, or are you absorbing that from somebody else? And I don't think we think about that enough as a society.
No. Well, I mean, Tara hits the point again. It makes me think about the energy vampire in the TV show and stuff like that, to what we do in the shadows. And I think I agree with you completely on that note. I think a lot of the time, we have no idea that we ourselves could be doing it. You get people who go to a convention and get excited about the person they're talking to and all of this, and they just want to feed this from the feed. They don't realize what they're feeding off of. But even like with readings, you do readings. I did a reading today, 45 minutes long, and I was wiped, and it was over the phone, and I was wiped. So people just don't understand that, but it's a part of what you have to do. And when you get to a point where you start doing readings for people, for example, they don't realize you always give a little bit of you every time you do those. And that's not just energy, that's permanent. I mean, you're just kind of giving that away. You're just giving that piece of energy away of yourself, your personal energy. So, when I've had people in the past again say, hey, why don't you do readings and do this and do that? I'm at an age now where, if I was 30, sure. I'm not. I'm old as hell. So, at the end of the day, I got to be a little more cognizant of my health.
Yeah.
And that's what the thing that they say, and I believe it to be very true, is that people who have abilities, psychic mediums, what have you, their lifespan is shorter than a person who doesn't have the abilities, because again, we're giving away a piece every time we do a reading. Absolutely. And you want to do the reading. The person needs closure. And it seems to me, and you can tell me if you feel the same way, I bet you do, but the bigger you deep and the digger and the digger and the digging you do, the deeper you get, the more it takes away.
Absolutely. And Marie Young had commented that you can't share from an empty cup, and you're absolutely right. I learned that the hard way, Anne. When I first started doing this, I actually ended up being bedridden for about 8 days. I didn't understand the term conduit. Okay, and I think it's really important. Yeah. And this doesn't mean if you're going to do readings, this is we're not just talking about people who are psychics or mediums or sensitive or, or paranormal investigators. This goes for everyday life. This goes for your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your dog, your friend. It's for everybody.
You're right, Anita.
But, being a conduit is basically you're allowing the energy to flow through you. So what you're absorbing, you're allowing to go through you and out of you. So you've ever heard the term, let it roll off your back. Okay. Or, people absorb it. They internalize it. They internalize it and they overthink it.
Yeah.
Those are physical examples of basically what we're talking about in terms of energy, is that you have to allow these things to flow. You have to release it. Compartmentalizing things and trying to remember absolutely everything is just not possible. At least it isn't for me. I feel really bad when I read people because I may have read them 3 or 4 times over the years. I've had clients come back 5, 6 times and I don't remember. So, somebody, I saw you last year. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. It's not that I want to forget you. It's not even, it has nothing to do with with the people I'm seeing. It's fact of the matter that I have to be so stringent on allowing the energy to flow, remembering it's not my energy or it's not my information to remember. I don't own it. I'm simply the antenna for it to go through to. And that makes it easier for me. But ladies and gentlemen, when you're going to the store, when you're getting ready to get onto the bus, when you're deciding to, go to the children's music concert or, watch that home game, really take the time to center yourself, ground yourself, and don't be afraid to say a little prayer or ask for protection. Have a little amulet. I got this beautiful amulet from a dear friend. It's labradorite. Use it. Absolutely use it, because it's only going to help you. And I also encourage people, when you come home from work, when you come home from the shopping mall, when you come home from an event, wipe your feet at the door. Tell yourself, you can say it in your head, you can say it, out loud. I hereby leave all that energy outside. You're going to find that when you do that, you've declared kind of your perimeter of what you're willing to put up with and what you're not willing to put up with. And you're not going to allow that energy to follow you in the house. Now, a little bit of energy does follow. That's where the cleansing comes in. But you'll start to realize you're going to start to feel lighter, and you're not going to feel as though it's as sticky on you anymore.
No. And Michael, you brought up an issue about you watching television the other night and you feel like something touched you. What was that about? Most likely you're watching something that kept your mind open. Mm-hmm. And because your mind was open, you were more susceptible to being touched. And that's probably what happened. That happens a lot. Then Jerry was saying, I have no one to train me. I do it myself. Yeah, I mean, I had no one either. I had no one to tell me right and wrong. That's what we're hoping from this show, for example, that we can, we get you guys to share this stuff, because we want people who don't know or who would like to know more to see the show and learn from it. So maybe that'll help them. That's the whole purpose of this thing, is to get everybody to education and the help that they need. That I didn't have. Did you have formal training, Katie?
No. I learned the hard way. I did. Yeah. I learned the hard way. I am stubborn. And so for me, I'm somebody that has to experience something myself. And there's naivety about it where you don't even understand it. You never even thought it. You're not consciously aware of it. I think a lot of relationship issues, whether it's friendships or it's, intimate. I think a lot of colleagues at work, I think, a lot of situations, we'll call it, could be prevented where, because of this energy. And this is how muddy energy works. You and I have talked about it so many times where, it doesn't go, boo, I'm here. I want to, I'm going to jump on you now. Like what it does is it creeps up on you slowly, and it it goes into a weakness that you have. So if you're having a really depressive day, not only are you taking that, that day, that emotion with you of that hard time you had, maybe you lost a loved one, or, you lost your job, or it's a negative day. Negative energy, as you said, breeds negative energy. Therefore, it's going to see that doorway or pathway in to climb on top of that other energy and ride it out and try to seep it from you in a parasitic manner. A few times in the chat, there was something talked about with it called a energy vampire, and basically what it means is that it's a parasitic and it's sucking the life out of you. It's sucking the energy force out of you. When I tell people to do cleansings, we often talk about salt baths, and we talk about, sage and different things to use. It's really important to do it for yourself. So not only cleansing your property or your belongings, but it's also you. And it's important to kind of, nobody knows you better than you, right? Nobody knows you better than you. But sometimes you're not aware of it. So it may take a friend, a family member, to kind of point it out and say, hey, you're not yourself.
Yeah.
You're acting funny, or everything okay because you're off today. Even that in itself may be kind of leading towards you're carrying an energy that you shouldn't be carrying. And so it's important that, pay attention to you. Your personality, how you're reacting. If a close friend comes up to you and says, hey, dude, you're off, then something's up. Don't be afraid to cleanse and feel the lightness come after you've cleansed. It may take 3 or 4 times, but you're going to start to feel the difference. And then you'll start to know when you're being bogged down by bad energy. When I feel tired, when I wake up unrested, when I start to have nightmares, or I start to have intense dreams where I'm running from something or chasing something, I know I've got something. It doesn't have to be malevolent or demonic or anything like that, but I know that I've picked something up, whether I did it intentionally or unintentionally, and it's time to cleanse. I was mentioning to Richard today that all of my electronics have not been working properly. That's a sign. As small and incremental as it is, that's a sign that I have brought something in and I have to get rid of it.
Yeah, and you can talk about, a couple of people have made mention on here about protection. Okay, and protection is good. Mm-hmm. There are several ways that people can protect themselves: the bubble of light, white light that surrounds you, that kind of thing. Whatever you can get to protect you, of course you should. The challenge comes into is that when psychic mediums had to be utilized in investigations, and I'm just going to put this out there, I have been utilized as a tool to find activity, sense activity, pick up on activity. That is my tool that I have in my bag of tricks, so to speak. Okay, so when you have to go into that situation where you have to be the person who drills down to find out what's going on, you can't be closed off. Because if you're closed off, you're not going to pick up. And that's the whole thing. When you open up cautiously, which we all have to do, when you open up cautiously, you can intake the information. You can get the download, and you can kind of still protect yourself. But you have to put yourself out there as the fodder to be able to draw in the energy, to be able to get a good idea or a glimpse as to what's going on. Like when I had to get a reading today over the phone. That's not easy to do. And you have to give out a lot of energy to be able to, and be very open to be able to get what you get and be able to give the messages that you have to deliver. So you have, you want to protect yourself, but it's kind of a double-edged sword because you have to protect yourself, but you have to actually open up enough to be able to receive the download. And that's just kind of the fine line we all have to draw. So if we're just doing it, I think, to be able to protect ourselves from bad energy, and we're not trying to do things like deliver messages to people, phenomenal. But there are those times when you have to be utilized to be able to obtain what's going on and ascertain what's going on. You have to be more open up. So you're taking that chance every time you open up. I wish I could sit here and be locked down. It's not going to happen. It's not. So there's that portion of you that has to kind of give yourself away a little bit. So you have to take that chance. You have to take that chance. And it can be bad, but you're going to have to do it. So, but yeah, protection is important.
I think it's calculated risk is the way I look at it, is calculated risk. Every time you get in your car or you leave your house every day, there's calculated risk that you could get into an accident or something could happen. But you calculate that risk yourself. You try to put your seatbelts on, you do all the legal things, and you try to do it carefully. The same thing happens with energy. It's all about calculated risk and what you're willing and not willing to put up with. When I was younger, I was ignorant to the fact that I thought I could handle a lot more than I realized I can handle or want to handle. Before I was a parent, I was willing to go and to do more demonic things in terms of trying to investigate more places. And not that there's been an awful lot, but I was more open to the fact that, I would go in. Now I don't search for it. It'll find me in terms of people contacting me. And I'm willing to work with those people, but I'm not out to prove anything to myself.
No.
Tara had said earlier, tough to do with teenagers, meaning, being open and cognizant and checking.
Yeah.
For all of those parents with teenagers, with any kids, make it a chore. Make it an absolute normality in your household, to the point where my 9-year-old came to me 2 days ago and said to me, Mom, got up in the morning, he came right into my bedroom. He said, Mom, I think you're going to have to cleanse again. And I said, okay, why? And he said, well, I was having bad dreams. He said, so, I was not comfortable. So do you think maybe we could do a cleansing? That simple. It's a normality in the household.
That's incredible.
Yes, he wants to be part of this. He's cognizant of it. I've made them aware of it. So it's hard because you have to train yourself to see these things, and you want to make your kids aware of it too. So, for people who are just starting now, make it into a normality. If you want to cleanse, you can never cleanse too much.
Right.
Okay. You can never cleanse too much. If you want to make it an every 2-week thing, once a week when you dust or when you mop or when whatever you're doing, you also do it at this time. Or if kids have chores, it's part of that. You don't want to make it a negative thing, but you want them to be aware of it enough on it, right? When you're brushing your teeth or you're getting the teeth at the back, it's kind of taking that extra step to make sure that you're doing all the things necessary to make sure that you're protecting yourself.
Yeah, and then we get a couple of questions or a couple of statements. Courtney was saying you should be mentally, physically, and emotional fit. Let me tell you a little something about that. It has a lot to do with it. I'm not physically fit, but I'm mentally fit. But here's the thing, though. When I do an investigation with my team, before we get started, I'm doing a rounder, what I call a rounder. How's everybody doing? Everybody ready to do this? Are we straight? Okay, let's do it. Because if somebody isn't straight, like I had to actually remove an attachment from a building when I had the tour that we did at the Hamilton House. One of my newer guys got jumped. He's very, very open, and he got jumped. And I had to take him outside and wipe him clean. I could see it on him. I could feel it on him. He wasn't himself. So we did this. But the thing of it is, if you don't have that communication set up and something goes awry, you may not know it. If you don't know the behaviors of the people that are in your group, in your team, what have you, you'll never notice when something's wrong. So you need to also not only read the energy of the building, you need to read, if you're doing this as a group or whatever, you need to read the energy of the people that you work with, that you know. Because if I didn't know him, I would not have known that he was not himself. And that kid needed to be just saved real quick and wiped out clean. So, and this is a building that has very strong energy in it, but he's just so flippin' open. And I love the kid to tears, but he's so open that it just happened to get to him, and he let it in. And here's another thing too. Tammy Richardson Collins, she was actually at this event that we did to Hamilton House, and she said, paranormal hangover. Last Sunday was the first time, which is the day after our event, that I ever have noticed having that. Yeah. It was that intense. It was that intense an event. It's again, there's nothing there that it has any intention of harm. But if it gets an opportunity, for someone who isn't prepared, that's why, no offense, I'm there, because I'll be able to sense it or feel it on you. And then we need to have a conversation before you go. Because I'm really big on protecting the guests of our tours. So that's, again, this is a different location than Tammy's been to before. Tammy has been to the Wright Hotel in Chatsworth Depot. The action and the activity at the Hamilton House is different. It's stronger. It's diverse, but it's stronger. And and she got the paranormal hangover from it because it was that involved.
Yeah.
So again, that's part of the energy flow.
Yeah. Now, Natalie says, do you think the energy of a psychic medium can increase spirit activity on an investigation? Absolutely. Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think people who are aware of their abilities, people who hone their abilities, and you don't have to be labeled a psychic medium. Okay. I actually don't like that word, but because so many people, or those words, so many people identify as that, then that's what I call myself. But I used to call myself a sensitive for many years because I don't like to label.
Yeah.
But it goes. People who hone in on that and work on that every day are like lighthouses. Okay, they're lights in a dark room. They're moth to a flame, in the sense that energy is drawn to that. Spirits are drawn to that. So much so that even during an investigation or during a reading, I'm getting entities coming up or energies coming up that don't even belong to the location or the person that I'm reading, because they realize it's almost like, hey, there's somebody over there that can hear us, or they absorb that energy, right? We have to realize that energy comes in different forms, and it's important. Not every time that you feel upset or you feel afraid, does that mean it's coming off of somebody? That could be what's called a residual energy, in the sense that it happened many years ago. So there is a place that I drive by. I don't drive every day, but when I travel home to visit, I stop there. And when I drive through, I feel sick every single time. And I couldn't figure it out. Why do I feel sick? Is it the elevation? Is there a natural electromagnetic field that's putting me off? Is there a lot of radon in the rocks that I'm driving through? Because there's lots of rock cliffs there. No, it came down to a previous accident in the 70s that caused, and that energy I'm still picking up. I was not able, the fact of the matter that I couldn't pick up on the past accident tells me that has dissipated. It's not important for me to pick up on that, but I still could pick up the sick feeling of the person, before they were deceased, or as they were dying, that emotion they're picking up. It can be that simple. It doesn't necessarily have to be an entity trying to come to you and making contact.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's just so much about it with different levels of energy, making contact, not making contact, energy vampires. If all we know about energy, period, would be enough to fill a temple.
Right.
That's what's funny about this is we can give out hints and ideas about how to cleanse yourself and protect yourself, but you don't even know sometimes what you're protecting yourself from. This is so much out there. Anne-Marie Young said, well, when we're busy taking care of others and forget to refresh and refill, the universe will make you. I believe in that to a point. I think you have to watch the signs that, it's time for you to step back and, and refill yourself, step away from the energy. I make that mandatory on our events. Halfway through, you're stepping outside, we're taking a break. Get yourself recharged, and then we come back in. Tammy said, I had a spirit tap me on the shoulder, and afterwards on an EVP blast, when I asked if someone just touched me, the spirit said, I did it. Yeah. That was at the Hamilton House, right, Tammy? I believe it was. Again, the Hamilton House is a different location. Very, very strong energy of that house. You want to talk about walking into it? Well, I had some fun with Katie when we got there, and I had her live on the phone, and she was great as she usually is. And she actually was able to read through the energy that was there, and she was spot on with everything. But to me, you couldn't have done that if the energy transfer wasn't strong enough.
Absolutely.
That place is strong. There is, to me, there's no, light to light gray area. No, that place is big on energy, and there's no hiding from it. There's no, it's okay. No, there's a lot of energy in that building, and although we enjoyed it, evidently, like Tammy said, she paid the price of the paranormal hangover. I always tell people pre-med, go in having about 2 or 3 Advil before you go in, and that'll lessen the the inflammation on your body, because they're pulling from your energy like that. That'll help. So there's a pro tip pre-med that may help. You never know. Let's see.
So some tips, guys. Some tips when dealing with energy. So Richard and I had talked about cleansing. It's important to cleanse, and no matter what you do, you always have to cleanse. I often use the example of when you move to a new location and you've cleaned it for the first time. That doesn't mean you never clean it again. You always have to clean up. You always have metaphorical mud or dirt coming in your floors when you come in. The same principle occurs with energy. It's important to keep it clean. But I think it's important to start to be cognizant and decipher what you're dealing with, okay? Lots of times entities will try to send a message across, and you receive it or you read it wrong, in the sense that you misinterpret the information. I'm guilty of it. Every psychic is guilty of it. If anybody tells you they're not, they're lying. We've all been there where we've misinterpreted things or didn't, understand what they were trying to tell us. And so it's really kind of deciphering the energy as it's coming through. Once you decipher that, or even if you can't decipher it, you've got to listen to your gut. What is it telling you? Do you feel sick? Do you feel heavy? Do you feel lightheaded? Do you feel happy? All of a sudden, do you feel sad? Are you getting anxious? Is your body doing anything? Are you getting a headache? Are you, is the hair standing up on your arms and legs? Are you feeling heaviness in your shoulders or feel like you're being watched? Those are the types of things that you can rest assured most of the time know that is, you're tapping into an energy field. Whether it's for you or not for you, you're picking it up. A really good example that I tell people, and this is not necessarily healthy, but I have told people to try it and experiment with it. Where you see a hydro wire or hydro line, you see the real big concentrated hydro lines where they're thick insulated poles.
Yeah, we call those power lines down here.
Okay, power lines. Go and stand by it. Go and stand by it and see how you feel. You're going to hear a hum. You're going to feel the hum, and you're going to start to notice that there's going to be picking up electromagnetic fields. And you're going to see your hair starting to stand up on end. That's very similar. Now, I would never recommend you stand there for long periods of time because high levels of EMF can be they can be deadly, realistically. Yeah. But if you don't know how to feel, that's one way that you can go and feel. There's different methods of doing it: high body of water, fast flowing water, or where the wind blows. Now, it's kind of hard when you're into the wind, when you're trying to feel whether you're getting goosebumps or not, or trying to witness your body physically changing. But there are different ways that you can kind of experiment with that. And that's when you'll know that there's different or changes in EMF. Are you feeling sick, tired, all of those things?
I got a question here from Dawn Marie Kelch that I want you to answer. I always attend to attract narcissistic men. So what is the energy that does that for her? As a lady, okay. I wanted you to answer that.
Okay, so a couple things. Number one, energy breeds energy. What you put out, you bring in. Now, I'm not saying that you're narcissistic. I don't mean that at all. What I'm saying is, we assign emotions with energy. So think of it this way. Most of the time when we yell at our children, okay, and I'm guilty of it, they've ran across the road and I've yelled at them and said, get back here, or don't go there, or, most of the time it's because we're frightened, but we put an anger energy out there, okay? Lots of times we misinterpret the type of energy that we're dealing with. And so the narcissist is an emotion and a word, but it's still a low vibration. So you may not be narcissistic. I don't think you are, but that low vibration that you're feeling, you don't feel good enough about yourself. You don't feel worthy enough. You don't feel like you could do any better. That, my friend, is what you're putting into the universe, and that's what you're getting back. Okay, so we have to be aware of what we're putting out to the universe in order to get it back. The universe also does a really nice thing, and it says, we're going to teach you something. So a big part of this incarnation, as we're reincarnating from our past life to the next life, is all about learning spiritually, physically, humanly. It's trying to teach you something, and it's up to you spiritually and humanly to break that cycle. It's going to keep happening over and over and over again until you choose to change. That's the only way it's going to change. Okay, so you have to ask yourself, these people that you are attracted to or that seem to be attracted to you, perhaps are they addicts? And that doesn't necessarily mean that they have an addiction physically. I often refer to people being addicted to emotions. So there's endorphins that are released in the brain, and basically what they do is they tell you that they want more of it. So every time, some people are addicted to being frightened, some people are addicted to being negative, some people are addicted to being rude, some people are addicted to being happy. They're adrenaline junkies. They're looking for that adrenaline rush. The bottom line is, subconsciously, they're looking for that. Okay. And when that's what they're looking for, they're going to tap into that source energy. So although you may not think you're negative or you're not wanting to be negative, at one point or another you felt that, and that's what it's breathing in, and it's basically going into a vortex, and that's what you're picking up on.
Yeah. Tim Smith said, I've never cleansed my home before, bad energy before. I recently bought the stuff to be able to do it, but how do I prepare for it? Know what to say that'll be the most effective. I'm easily distracted. All right. So I'm going to give you the trucker version of this scenario, and then my illustrious co-host will give you the Wikipedia intelligent version of this. So I've done a bunch of home cleansings as well. The mindset and the intent of what you're doing is most important. The follow-up and the approach about how you do it is also very important. Okay. The way I train people how to do it is your head has to be straight on. Your mind has to be set to know that you're going to be effective. This is your house. You own it. Spirits don't own it. All right. You're in control. And that's where this comes in, because this is your best friend or your worst enemy. So you have to have your head right for that. Okay. Then I'm a big proponent of making sure everything goes right or clockwise, not window shins, but clockwise. Okay. Because if you don't, that will not do any good for you either. It's liable to piss them off. So you have to make sure you do that. But you also have to make sure you cleanse yourself, not just your home. And salt baths that we've talked about in this show probably a multitude of times is where I would have you be, because it resets your energy. And your energy sets everything off. That's kind of the reality of it. But yeah, I mean, I would treat the inside of the home with sage or however you want to treat it. I would also treat the outside of the home. I would treat the outside of the home with sea salt in 3 rings clockwise around the home, and that would bind your property. Okay, and then I would cleanse myself. So well, you kind of just do all 3, get it out of the way, the outside, the inside, and you, because that's hugely important, and you got to be careful of that, if that makes sense. Hopefully it helps.
Now, Charles has said, do you come across people who pick you out of a crowd and want to tell you things about personal things? Yes and no. Yes and no. So I would have to say it's almost, I'm not somebody who walks up to somebody and taps on the shoulder and says, hey, I'm a psychic, I want to tell you something. I don't, when I'm out.
Did you just try a New York accent? Did you just try a New York accent right there?
No. Forget about it.
Come on.
No.
All right.
When I'm out grocery shopping, I'm out grocery shopping. When I'm, with my children, I'm with my children. I do leave my window or door open a little bit for those entities that I need to work with. If, there was an accident or there was, a message from my guides or something, obviously I leave that door open. But, yes, people do want to tell me things. And I think that, there's such thing as called the 6 degrees of separation, where we're all kind of migrating spiritually. Somebody who knows somebody, and we're all kind of learning this together. So I think that I'm a firm believer that there's never a coincidence. People are put in your path for a reason. You're supposed to be teaching something, but you're supposed to be learning something from them as well. So I think that there's never a wasted moment or relationship. People say, "Oh, my last relationship was a waste of time." No, it wasn't. Because you learned what you didn't want. Okay. There's things you had to learn. I always refer to it as a beautiful flower garden. You can't have a flower garden without weeding out the weeds. So that goes for a lot of things. In terms of messages from people, yeah, I see entities quite a bit, but I don't indulge. Let's put it that way. Unless I need to, if it has to do with a child or something like that, then yes, I'll obviously help. But it's the same. I think people pick up on energy, and that's why we're attracted to each other. There's certain people that you're attracted to, and you don't know what it is. And that may mean that, you knew this person in a past life, and your soul knows that person's soul.
Yeah.
There's soul relationships. We all have them, whether you are aware of it or not. And so I think it comes down to that more or less.
It is. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to go through. You got so much going on.
Okay. This is great, guys. Okay. So somebody had said something. What is Katie's views on Reiki and healing technique? Okay, so Reiki. So I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. I take risks. I don't like
Robert.
consumerism. I don't.
Joshua.
I often ask people,
Anne
what do
Marie?
you blow your nose with? Richard, what do you blow your nose with, buddy?
My sleeve. I'm from New York. No, I'm just kidding.
No, seriously, what do you blow
Napkin.
your nose? Sorry?
Napkins in my car,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So most people will say to me, Kleenex. Okay. Yeah, I blow my nose with Kleenex. Kleenex is a brand. Okay. And so is Reiki. And so is a lot of the other energy work that we use. And so for me, I don't want to get caught up in brand. Okay. That's like saying I'm a fortune teller and I have a crystal ball and, call me now. I don't feel like we should be stuck in the consumerism side of energy work. I personally believe that energy work is energy work. How you want to utilize it is how you want to utilize it. A tarot card reader versus karmaticy versus a psychometry, all of those things, they're just different forms of downloading the information. And so the same thing applies with energy, and it comes down to healing. You can pinpoint it. So I would never deny I have Reiki. I have done Reiki. I'm also an Access Bars of Consciousness practitioner, and I've done TT, and there's a lot of different energy works that I've done, but I form my own way of doing it. I don't necessarily go by the book. That's no judgment. If that's how you choose to be, then that's cool. You do you, I do me. But I don't like to limit myself. I think you've got to make your own recipe and stick with it. And you continuously learn. I learn every day about energy. So, I think it's important to keep learning.
Well, some lady you might know, April Smith, said narcissists are highly attracted to empaths. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, energy again attracts energy. So yeah.
My bestie right there.
All right.
Yeah, no. Absolutely hit the nail on the head.
Now, Tammy, I guess she was talking about the right hotel. Tammy, the lady who just went to the Hamilton House with me, said at the Hamilton House in the room that you pulled Aaron, that's my guy on my team that I had to take outside. Right before that happened, I started feeling very nauseous, really nauseous. After we went back in, I was fine. That was scared. I was crazy. Yeah. And that's why I take the breaks I take, because when that kind of activity builds, if you don't break it and step outside and break the contact, that'll continue to build. It'll build up to a mountain of energy and a mountain of activity. And if you don't stop it in its tracks and cut it off, you're just asking for just all kinds of issues. But yeah, you're right, Tammy. It got to a point where that's why I said everybody needed to take a break, and we stepped outside.
I think it's important too. Tim had mentioned about the black salt and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think you're right, Tim. For anybody who wanting to cleanse, try different things. There's not one go-to.
Hey, Christina.
I use a lot of examples here. So frankincense and myrrh, really great stuff to use. Firewall of protection, another great one. Palo Santo, we've been through this multiple times. Palo Santo, I don't know where I put it. There's different ways that you can cleanse. There's different methods. If one isn't working, try another one. So I'm a firm believer, if you go into, if you live beside a Catholic cemetery, okay, as an example, and you're getting a lot of activity, and I'm just making this up, say, you're highly religious area, or the person that you feel is haunting your location was highly religious in life. Saging may not be as effective as using holy water or using different prayers and psalms and all those things. Okay, it's important to know what you're dealing with. So if you're in a location that you feel is affected by a haunting or affected by an elemental energy, then you're going to use different things. Somebody had commented early about that makes me wonder what linemen do to protect themselves from EMF.
That was Ellen. So, yeah, I was going to bring that up.
Ellen, you do wear protective suits. They do have meters that they're supposed to be testing themselves with and so on. And it's important to step out of that area. But there's a lot of cancer. Unfortunately, there's a lot of cancer. Yep. Studies have shown that high levels of electromagnetic fields can cause cancer. So They have to be careful with these things. Okay. High EMF can cause paranoia. It can cause inflammation. It can cause, pain, all of that stuff. So pay attention to it.
Now, Michael says, can energy be attracted to different people? Absolutely. Now, here's the challenge. Again, we talk about energy breeding energy, right? Unfortunately, for a lot of folks who struggle with things, they have struggles with alcohol or drug dependency. That's a low vibrational energy, and unfortunately, that's what they attract. Not their fault. It's just where they're at. When they change that, and they change the essence of who they are, and they fix that problem, they start going up in a higher level, then they're attracted by the higher level, and the higher level is attracted to them. But yeah, unfortunately, people that, depending upon where they're at, they can either attract low vibrational energy or they can attract high vibrational energy. So they have to be very careful about it. And that's why a lot of the times, I've seen a friend of mine who runs a rehabilitation center in Dalton, Georgia. He actually would do day trips to the lake, or to the river. He'll do day trips where you just go there and you spend time there for a picnic. He knows why. Him and I have talked about it. Trying to bring different levels of energy, higher vibration levels of energy to these folks is really what they need to be able to change the essence of who they are. And they would make it a lot less difficult if they had that ability. So, I mean, he's great and he does that. But yeah, I would have to say yes, it does. Gosh, we have so much. Cat Ward, hi, uncle. Hey, uncle. Okay. I'm not her uncle. It's got to be somebody else. But again, it's energy, and it's funny. I've had people over the years constantly ask me about different locations. Have you ever been here? Why haven't you gone here? Why don't you go there? What did you think about this? What did you think about that? Back in the day, I say back in the day like I'm a super old man. Back in the day, I didn't mind where I went.
Was it uphill both ways, Richard? Were the investigations uphill both ways?
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, I didn't mind going to what I call the nasty places. I didn't mind going to the places where, I might have been jumped or I might have left with some baggage myself. Nowadays, I don't want any part of it. That energy for me is not where I want to be, and I determine where I'm going to expose myself to. I determine that. It doesn't mean if it's going to scratch you that I want to be part of that. I don't. If somebody's going to push you downstairs, I don't want any part of that either. And it's just I don't want to be involved in that low vibrational stuff. The stuff that we deal with at the locations that I do is benign. It wants to communicate, it wants to be seen, it wants to engage, and that's all well and good. But going to a place that is known for negative paranormal activity, for me, that's no bueno. No. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't want that energy. I don't want to be exposed to that energy. This is not for me. I'll choose to take the old man way out and go talk to some dead folks that aren't going to hurt me. Walk into a place where I don't feel like I want to hurt everybody because something's jumped me and transferred negative energy to me. And that's happened. I don't want to be part of that. Can you imagine me with a negative attachment that makes me want to hurt people?
Oh, wow. Scary. The Brooklyn comes out. New York comes out.
Yeah, there was a wrestler back in the day. His name was the Brooklyn Brawler. Whew, I could not imagine that.
Do you know what comes to mind? The Kool-Aid Man.
I've lost weight. I'm not that big.
No, I mean breaking through walls.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, no, I've had those days where I've gone into the negative stuff and, it has a momentary thrill. What's going to happen? But after a while, you get to a point where you just don't want any part of that energy. You just don't want any part of that negative stuff. Just not for me. I'm just
Yeah.
not there. Whoa, what is this big
We're getting
Donna?
lots. Guys, I think too, the moon plays a lot on energy. You'll hear ERs, you'll hear police departments. They talk about, oh, it's another full moon, it's another full moon. The moon plays a lot. The moon is able to create, the tides coming in and out. The moon is allowed to do, like, it really is powerful and it can do a lot of things. It also switches energy, but the sun does the same thing. We just went through something a few nights ago where, people might have noticed a disturbance in their sleep. That was a shift. That was kind of a solar flare of such. That caused, it was a shift basically, and what it did was it caused people to have sleepless nights. If you're not aware of it, if nobody has ever taught you these things or to look into these things, and this is what Richard and I are hopefully trying to get you to become, is aware of it, is that there's a greater cause, greater things happen. Okay, so
Right.
it could even be a shift as far as a earthquake across the other side of the world, and you're picking up on that energy. If you can take anything from this, ladies and gentlemen, all we're asking is that you do your research. Just research it. Don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to, get on the internet, but also reference what you're learning too. Make sure you know where you're getting your information from. But it comes down to, we live in a bigger place. Think of the universe, the world 500 years ago. Okay, 500 years ago, the Earth was flat. And there's still those that believe it is, and I'm not going to start that argument. It is what it is. But back then, there was the edge of the world, Britannia, all of that area. They didn't think about Alaskan cruises. They didn't think about a college education. They didn't think about, saving up for that next vacation. It came down to what they were knowledgeable about at that time. Through evolution, revolution, and education, they became more aware of it. And here we are today, sitting in technology, being able to learn things. It's a cosmic level. They didn't think about the other side of the world because to them there wasn't one. And all we're asking is that you open your mind, open, the learning aspect of your brain, and try to absorb some of this stuff. I think once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you learn about energy, you can't not use it. I use it every day.
Married to somebody like that. I just couldn't unsee it. Hey.
Anyways.
Tim Smith brings up another point I think is good in the basics of this whole thing. Grounding is another one that I'm curious about. Let me give you a couple of tips. Okay, my partner over here is going to give you some more tips. All right. I'm real big on when you leave an investigation, you go find running water and you go sit in front of the running water, and that running water is high vibration and it winds up neutralizing you. It winds up straightening out your energy level and resetting you. Also, if you have the opportunity and your feet don't stink, taking off your shoes and socks and hitting the ground, step on the grass, just sit on the grass, stand on the grass with your feet contacting it without shoes and socks on, that will actually draw the energy off of you as well, believe it or not, as crazy as it sounds, it will. Also, if you go somewhere, I have a little place in another city around me that when you go into this place, it looks like it should be haunted and creepy as well get out. It's not. It's actually very grounding and very neutralizing. And when you go into it, it actually feels good in there. You feel, oh man, this feels good. That's where you want to be. So if you have a place that's naturally developed like that, organically developed, and you have a place that makes you feel good to go there. Also go, like I said, to streams, rivers, running water. That's great. Take your shoes and socks off, stand on the ground. Let the ground absorb the energy off of you as well. That's another way to ground yourself. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways, but thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah. For me, what's really important is it to be balanced, not necessarily just grounded, but it's important to have balance. I'm a personal believer that the whole essence to life is balance. Do you have one piece of pizza or the whole box? Do you have one beer or the whole case? Do you spend too much, too little? Do you buy this? Do you save for that? What is the balance that works for you? And in order to achieve balance, you have to have a yin to a yang. So you have to have grounding, but you also have to be able to receive what you're grounding. So somebody earlier in the episode had talked about you can't give from an empty cup. That's exactly it. You have to have a perfect amount of balance in your cup so that it's not overflowing and there's nothing in it. So a physical and emotional expulsion of energy is my go-to. It's so important for me. I'm a horse person. I have horses, and when I ride, I'm not focused on the car insurance. I'm not focused on the kids. I'm not focused on anything else except my task at hand. I'm in my present consciousness. I'm focused on what I'm doing because I could fall off and get hurt. But I'm also somebody who's in a zone at that moment. When I get off my horse, when I'm done riding, I feel amazing. I feel I feel zen. I'm happy. I was physical. I pushed all the energy into one direction and I was able to get rid of it. Animals are wonderful. It's an unrequited love in the sense that they don't judge you. They love you no matter what. It's they don't care if you love them back. They love you. And so it's important to get out there and do that. You don't have to ride. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be about horses. But what is your passion, or what is your that yin to yang? Some people like to walk. Some people like to jog. Some people like to read a book, or But there's not a right or wrong way to do it. Yeah, fishing, absolutely fishing. It's what speaks to you. I get asked a lot. I get this question asked weekly. Katie, you meditate. How can I learn to meditate? I can't get my mind to shut off. I tried, I sit there. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now. The act of meditating is not thinking. Because when you're not thinking, you're thinking about not thinking. Okay? What I want you to do is I want you to take and do it in small increments. Okay? Start for 10 minutes. And if you have your mind going a mile a minute, that's what's going to happen. People say, well, it's not possible to meditate. I can't. If you can fall asleep, which we all do, we all fall asleep, you can meditate because you're emptying your mind's thoughts and you're falling off to sleep. The difference with meditation is you're not getting to that sleep state. You're allowing all of the energy to leave, all of the thoughts, incoming and outgoing, to kind of start to make sense. And at first, you're going to notice it doesn't make sense at all. It's just weird, random things that are coming in. As time goes on, you're going to realize that they do make sense. Once you get rid of that daily kind of mutt in your head and that fog, and all of that stuff is kind of filtered out, then the higher energy comes through, and you're going to start to receive messages from loved ones or from your guides, or premonitions of how things are going to turn out for you. Take the time and do it. But those things have to be balanced, all of them, before you're going to be able to do it clearly. So it's important that grounding, going back to grounding, make sure that you're grounding properly in order to meditate. When you're meditating, make sure that you're only asking for positive things. When you're asking for positive things, you have to realize that negative happens too. So you can't have a positive energy without a negative energy. That's another thing. That's a whole nother episode. But you have to kind of know that hidden balance.
Yeah. Now, Anne-Marie says, do you think that some of these places, the energy is because of all the people who have gone there and have built the energy that is there? Yeah. I mean, it honestly has a lot to do as well with how absorbing the surrounding and the environment is, too. If the environment is not conducive to absorbing the energy, you may have trouble with shelf life of energy, but like, for example, houses, wood, the stone tape theory. I mean, that all of those things play into it. You just have to, hey Debbie, you just have to understand that energy absorbs, energy continues to absorb. That's why a place that you go to that's never been investigated before, the more times you investigate it, the more times you groom the energy, and that's what I call it, grooming the energy. Because that's what we've done with our tours now, is we groom the energy to understand we're coming in, we mean no harm, it's going to be good, let us just have this time with you, and they do what they do. But yeah, I mean, that has a lot to do with it. You bring the right energy on board, that builds up after time, and it builds up to hopefully good energy pile instead of bad.
And that's a great topic. You talk about good energy, bringing it to good energy. We all have had our, what's the word? We've all had people we look up to, we idolize, those people or idealisms that we look up to, that we want, we work towards, we like. That kind of energy is also goes out to attraction. So you strive to be that better person, or you strive. And that's where a lot of people say, well, why am we go back to attracting the narcissists. You have to realize that your partner, okay, or that relationship you were in, they were attracted to you because there was something in them that they wanted, in the sense that they are not. Okay, so you may be that rock. You may be you may have been, I've heard from people, they say, well, I was the guy, I was his mother, basically. I did everything for him, or I was his rock. I had to make all the hard decisions. That's why that person was attracted to you in the first place, because they are not. So the whole sign of opposites attract is true in the sense that they're attracted to that energy that you put off. They want that, or they want to be a part of that because it makes them feel elevated or good. So you can't always necessarily be angry for them for not being that person, because you have to ask yourself, why were you attracted to them in the first place? Okay. And usually it's that opposite or opposing attraction. Energy goes the same. So we talked about energy attracting like, in the sense that if you're negative, it brings it in. And what it does is it kind of crowds it around. You're going to see certain towns and cities where there's pockets of like-minded people. So there's, there's a town nearby, I won't mention names, but there's a town nearby that there's a lot of alcoholism, there's a lot of drug abuse, there's a lot of out-of-wedlock pregnancies, teen pregnancies, negative areas. And a lot of energy workers avoid that town because it harbors such a negative energy. That's because these people who are weak, who don't have strong will or can't fight these addictions, they harbor together, and that breeds bigger energy, right? So the only way to get out of that situation is to sometimes physically remove yourself from it. And it's hard for these people. If it was that easy, we would all not be suffering from an addiction or a problem, right? We would be able to fix it right away. So you have to ask yourself, where are you what's your environment like? It goes down to physicalness. So, is it by a body of water? Was there a bad tragic accident that happened? What would have caused that harboring or beginnings of that negative energy versus positive energy?
Right. Now I'm going to answer this question real quick. Ellen had said that that she had encountered at the Hamilton House is a portal in the back office area, and that's what there is, a portal in the back office area of the building. And what kind of energy was pulling at me, and not her husband Terry. And what happens if you let the energy pull you instead of fighting against the pulling? You can fight against the pulling. What's pulling you is EMF. What's pulling you is you're sensitive to EMF. So it's pulling you in that direction because Terry is not, and you are. Mm-hmm. And that's what the pulling is. That's what is drawing you in, is the energy is coming in through the portal. And that's very strong. That portal back there is very, very strong. So that's what the difference was, is that you have that sensitivity and Terry does not.
Yeah. So somebody had said, Katie, that's me, dreams up every night between 2 and 3 a.m. Okay, so Jerry, anybody with dreams, when you are in a sleep state, and Richard and I have talked about this before, but when you're in a sleep state, your subconsciousness is open, and that human judgmental side of you is not necessarily there to kind of go, nope. That's what you may be getting the most premonitions, visitations, but also if you have a negative attachment, or you've been somewhere where something parasitic, a hitchhiker's, climbed onto you, that's when it may make its move. Okay. You have to understand, it may not be right away. As an investigator going into a location, I may not get hit 3 or 4 days after I've investigated. Okay. It doesn't have to be right away. Energy sometimes takes time to build. It's like, us investigators going into a location, when you want to investigate, it takes a lot of energy. You may not get a full body apparition. You may only get, energy forms in an orb, or a partial apparition. Right. The same type of thing kind of happens. It takes an exorbitant amount of energy for an entity to shove something, move something, flicker something, right? The same thing goes when it's trying to make its move on you. It may take time to build. in demonic possession, it takes its time. And, I often say that there's four things. There's oppression, suppression, depression, and possession. Those four things occur, not necessarily at the same time, but over time, it makes you oppressed, stepped away. You're away from it. Then it suppresses you from going any further. And then the depression happens and you start to lose your lackluster for life. And then the possession happens in a weak moment. So the same goes for those types of things. I have developed anxiety. That's something that I'm not afraid to hide from. I suffer from anxiety. And, the ego in me a few years ago would never admit that. But I can admit it now in the sense that I have to distinguish whether it's my anxiety or the person I'm reading. Okay, because I could wear it for the rest of the day. For a long time, I didn't realize that. So it's important to kind of break it down and to know when the energy is entering your body. Is it dreams? Is it when you're at your happiest, when it's at your saddest? And that way you can limit it. Jerry, if you want to, you can take selenite, you can put it under your pillow, you can take tourmaline, you can have a salt bath before you go to bed, you can surround your room. Salt lamps are really great to have on when you're sleeping. That may offer a little bit of help if you're starting to have bad dreams.
Now, Carl asked a good question. He said, I read the purer the light, the more the darkness is attracted to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's usually, for Christians, it's the same thing. The purer your soul or the purer your heart is, the faster Satan wants to get to it. That's because that is kind of like the forbidden fruit. If you have a person that operates in pure light, pure white light, every opportunity that dark has to get to it, it will. Mm-hmm. It'll try. Because it is, as much as people don't want to hear this, my belief is, my experience is, this is spiritual warfare. No matter how you look at it, it's dark versus light. It's good versus evil. It doesn't matter how you slice it, it is spiritual warfare. And just like there are demons, there are entities that are not demons. It's like there's angels, and there's, you have to understand there is good and bad. There's good and bad energy every time you go somewhere with it. There's good and bad energy as well. And that's what we always try to avoid as best we can, but it happens, Michael says, why, Katie and Richard, why don't either of you write a book on this topic? It would be a seller. Yeah.
I've been asked.
I've been asked as well, and I won't do a full book. That's just too much time.
There's a little thing called confidence. I appreciate it. I really, really appreciate it, Michael. But I think I would like to learn more, to be honest with you.
I wrote in two different books, and they were called The Amazing Paranormal Encounters. And I wrote in two different series, the first one and the third one. And they were all just based on personal experience that have happened in the paranormal. But that was only 3,000 words for my portion of it. A book of 20,000? I don't have that ability. I have the ability. I don't have that kind of patience to sit there and try to type out a book like that. Although it's a great idea. I've thought about at times writing books about, or doing a DVD about how to cleanse your home, and putting that in a package with cleansing materials and follow it step by step by step. Because I think there's a lot of people out there that need that kind of help that aren't getting it. And I think that would be something that, maybe I'll talk with my illustrious co-host here someday about doing together. But something Carly, like that would be important.
Yeah, Carly had written, could be the same as a narcissist. And then she said, yes, there's a good and bad. Thank you guys for this. Looking to find my tribe and learn things. You know what, darling? You're always welcome here. This is what we do. We don't want you to be afraid. This is why Richard and I do this. Richard started this show to help people. I just came along for the ride. That's why we do this, is we want to be able to educate. We want to learn something. We don't know everything, and we'd like to learn more. So, you guys are in this boat with us. We're all equals. And if you know something we don't, put it in the comments. But please don't be afraid to ask questions, because we may not have the answer, but we'll find the answer for you. That's the whole point of us, is a family that can have these conversations and not feel it to be taboo. I live
Right.
in a town where I live in Canada, and where I live is it's not as open, I would say, to the paranormal as it is in the States. I'm not exactly sure where you're located, but people kind of they whisper, I got I think I have a haunting, or I think I have this. We don't want that. I don't want you to be afraid of it. I own it. I'm proud of it. I have no problems being confident about it anymore. And so I want you to feel the same way.
Lori Ann is asking a question real quick, and we're getting close to closing out here.
Sure.
Is it normal to astral project during meditation? I find myself frequently up in the clouds meeting with beautiful beings that take me places and show me things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's different levels to our ascension. Okay. Ascension doesn't necessarily mean that we leave our body. We have astral projection, we have remote viewing, there's many different layers. There's dimensional shifts that we can go through as well. In my experience, I have done all of those, and they have intimidated me for sure. And I'd like to practice it a little bit more before we have a show on it. But yes, absolutely. Uh, you know, there's more to this life than a physical side of things. So it comes down to, again, the universal energy and universal consciousness and what you're picking up. My grandfather, for example, I reference him a lot, but he's around just like I don't miss my grandfather in the same sense that you think I would, since he's been passed for so many years. I feel him all the time. I don't, so I miss his physical touch in the sense that I can give him a hug, but I know he's there. I feel him all the time. He's my right-hand man. And other sensitives that I've spoken with have picked up on him too. So if I limit myself to a physical limitation and say, well, he's not here anymore, he's passed on, then that's where I'm breaking the barrier. The same thing goes. You're leaving your physical being, your physical self, you're tethering out of your consciousness, and it's so much more vast that you're being able to tap into those things. So I would encourage it, but remember, wherever there's a light, there's a dark. So you have to protect yourself, that you don't want hitchhikers to come in as you're doing that astral projection or that meditation. I have picked up things. That's why it's important that when you're meditating, you're eating properly. Any type of energy work, you're eating properly. You're in a good mind. Richard and I often talk about don't go to an investigation if you've had a bad day. The same goes with meditation. Save it for the next day. Make sure that you're getting your physical self to the highest it can be vibrational before you decide to meditate. And I only say that because you don't want those hitchhikers, okay? Somebody who is more experienced will be able to get rid of that before they start, but you just don't want to pick up something that's unwanted.
No. Ellen asked what type of sage would be requested. Ellen, I would tell you the California white sage is what I go with myself. You can honestly get it off of eBay. You can get 10 small sticks. I think they're going for $11.49 for 10 of them, US. I had to make sure I say yes because my cohort's over here in Canada. But yeah, it's $10 or $11.49 for 10 small sticks, 3 to 4 inches of white California sage. And that does help to a point. The key here, though, and I wanted to say a couple of things before we close out, but the key here with sage or any kind of cleansing material like that is not only the intent behind you using it, but it's also how you do it. Taking a sage stick and going like this in the middle of the air is going to get you nowhere. You have no direction for that sage to even do its job. So I would tell people paint the walls from right to left. Like you had a paintbrush you couldn't pick up off the wall. Sage it like that. And, that would help a lot. But doing things correctly is part of the problem. Anita, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I know you got a bell. Have a good night. Guys, I just want to bring in one more thing. Shameless plug. Sorry, you're going to do it anyway. I get paid more when I do the shameless plugs. We have 2 tickets left to the event at the Hamilton House, March 5th. Those tickets sold really fast, really quick. But we only have 2 of those left. They are $30 a person for 5 hours. And we actually teach people how to investigate properly. We allow you to do it on your own as well if you'd like. So if you have an interest in getting those 2 tickets to the left, please reach out to me and let me know. I'd like to have those gone as quick as possible, and then we'll be on to the next one come, April, because it's getting crazy with the amount of buildings we're getting now. So, again, a little shameless plug. It's a great location. A lot of activity. My buddy here can tell you she was there through the phone lines, but
Absolutely. It was awesome.
wonderful place, really wonderful place. Someday she's going to get down here.
Oh yeah,
and we're going to plant her. Well, I'm actually getting the keys to these buildings now. I'm becoming a member of the council for the Historical Society this 25th of this month, and I'm actually going to be getting the keys for it for each one of the buildings. So that ought to be real interesting. It'll help out a lot. So it'll be a lot of fun. But it's God, we're already at 20 after the hour. We're 10 minutes left.
So next week, guys, we're gonna have a really cool special guest next week. Dennis Foss from the Hillsdale House. Woo, woo, he's coming to hang out with us for 90 minutes. We get him. So if you guys want to tune in next weekend, we're gonna be talking about the Hillsdale House. Famous place. It's been featured on multiple television shows. It is I'm telling you, I don't want to get into it till next week. I'm super excited, but it's going to be a great episode. So join us again next week right here on Facebook Live. And you know what, guys, as we always say at the end of the show, like and share. We love it. If we can teach people, right?
Yeah. It's all about it. Share, guys. Share this, because this is, again, not for us. This is for you. And this is for those that need it. So really, we would love to have you guys share this as much as you can. If you think your friends are worth it.
Right.
If you think your friends are worth it, but it's just a good time. Thank you, Nikki. Appreciate it. Michael, we thank you very much for your comments as well. Guys, this is a great show. And again, we've also asked too, Kat, good night. I appreciate you coming out. Deb, thank you very much. Stephanie, as usual, thank you. Tammy, thank you. Guys, if you have a subject that you would like for us to discuss on the show, the Let's Talk About It Facebook page is live and active. And my illustrious and wonderful co-host is in charge of that page for us. Thank you, Jerry. We appreciate it. Thank you, Joshua. She's in charge of that page for us, and you can reach out to us there and send us your ideas, what you'd like to have for this show. We've done 1.5 years for this show so far. And, we'll get to a point, just like any other show, where we kind of get a little dried up on ideas. I've been doing this on this show now for 3.5 years. So it's kind of crazy, but it happens. Thank you, Courtney. We appreciate it. Thank you, Tim.
Absolutely.
Jerry, thank you. Yeah, table tipping. Here's an idea. Jerry just talked to me and talked to us about table tipping, so we might want to look into that. What? Table tipping. I'll tell you what, Tim, not Tim, that was Joshua, wasn't it? Oh, it was Jerry. Jerry, we're going to get into that, I promise you.
And we'll have some wonderful guests about that, too. We have some experts in the field that will be able to even go beyond our knowledge to it as well. So we'll have them on the show.
Yeah, it's going to be a next lineup of guests. We've got a couple that are already set, and we're going to be getting some more. And we're going to treat you guys to some of those, because we think it's important that you get to deal and talk with some people in the business. I know the last guest we had on here, Lynn Monet, she had some really great insight about her experiences and about her books and everything. So, to me, that's going to be, hey, Susan, how's it going? I think that's going to be a wonderful show. And then Charles has brought up near-death experience, NDEs.
Absolutely, yes.
NDEs.
Great.
And I will tell you, I'm one of those people that have had one, so that would be an interesting topic as well.
I've had a few on my horse. I've had a few.
Yeah.
Scary moments.
That is just such a weird thing to go through. I don't even know how to tell you. Kind of crazy.
And you know what, guys, for those of you just joining us for the first time tonight, you've been through a couple shows, you can go back. As Richard said, we have a page. You can go and watch past episodes. If you think you've missed something or, you had to step away for a minute, we keep them there. So, if there's other topics you think you want to learn, or maybe perhaps we've talked about it before, we'll certainly talk about it again. But you could actually go back and check out those episodes.
Well, I mean, because that is the show. Let's talk about it. That's where it goes. Great show ending. It really is great show title, too. Guys, we're going to go ahead and kick out. We appreciate you very much. We hope to see you next week. Until then, be good to each other. We'll see you.
Night, everybody.